Hey golfers, and welcome back to the Second Swing It YouTube channel. If you don't know, I'm Drew Mahowald, and this is Thomas Campbell, Master Club Fitter at Second Swing. And we're back for another Thursday Live. It is 10 a.m. on Thursday, so you're back with us. Thank you for making us a part of your Thursday. Once again, Thomas, it's exciting in 2022. A lot of clubs being released, manufacturers really upping their game this year, and so we have some more club testing to do. I know last week we had a really eventful live broadcast. You were hitting some bombs, and people were really kind of entertained by the tee shots you were able to hit. So we have some more equipment to test today. We wanted to maybe branch out a little bit from drivers, and one thing we do have with us today is the Vokey SM9 Wedges as well. So I know a lot of people are wowed by your distance and your power, but also I'm always wowed in testing by your precision and your small dispersive circles. So maybe we can show the viewers that today. But so Thomas, kind of, as some of the viewers kind of come in today for the live stream, maybe start us off and talk about the SM9 Wedges, what you saw in initial testing, and why really the Vokey wedges every year are so good.
Yeah, I think it's consistency. When you've got a wedge in your hand, think of those as your scoring clubs. Precision, you mentioned, that's so important. You want to make sure that ball is doing the same thing every single time. So we have done, a video went up this week of comparison versus SM8 and SM9, and we noticed that precision was just a little bit tighter with the tolerances. And we're going to test it again today. Yeah. Starting out, I'm going to hit some wedge shots, and we'll talk about the spin differences and ball speed differences or any consistency numbers. But let's face it, with wedges, it's not about ball speed. It's just about the ball going the same distance every single time.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we love about the SM series, SM6, SM7, although it's SM9 now, is all of the different grind options that there are with the Vokey wedges. We talk exclusively about that in the swing report, about how there's those 6 grind options and the benefits of that as a fitter that you have to fit the golfer, regardless of how they deliver the club or use their wedges, you have an option there.
Yeah, it makes it so easy as a club fitter, especially when club fitting inside. Inside wedge fitting, it's more of a conversation based, but when you have 6 different grinds to discuss, you've got all the bounce, you've got the different wedges, lofts for gapping. It just makes life easy, and with those 6 grinds, it's going to be important for players to try those and see how they compare, because some are designed to allow you to open and close that club face easier. Some are just designed for a square club face. Some have more forgiveness, higher bounce, they're going to be more forgiving overall, and depends on what a golfer's attack angle is like and what kind of turf conditions they're playing on.
For sure. Well, as some of the viewers start to come in here, we invite golfers, if you have any questions, any thoughts, any ideas, anything about new equipment in 2022, please throw them our way, and Thomas will do his best to answer them, because we've done some almost extensive now, I would say, testing on the new models, whether it's for the Stealth, whether it's Rogue ST, you name it. We've had it now for a few weeks, so we've been testing things out. We have some good feedback here, so with that said, I think you can maybe get warmed up if you'd like for some wedge testing, but of course, if we get some more questions as well, we'll be able to answer those. But
yeah, and I'm also going to bring up here today is not just going to be about wedges. We're going to do some follow-up testing with the new drivers. We also have the Mizuno ST-Z. I know people were asking about that last week, but I'm going to get you to hit the drives today. Yeah. I think people are always excited to see some bombs. Let's face it, I can't swing as fast as you can. If we can get that ball straight and stay in the air, we can get you to hit pretty far. So I know you mentioned to me you're kind of in the market, assessing at least a new driver. I think we've got some great competition here, and I think it's going to be fun here to finish off with you doing some testing.
Yeah, I am kind of, I want to see if I can be wowed by a driver this year. I'm very impressed with everything that the manufacturers have done. I like Callaway going away from the glossy look. I like Stealth really changing the game on the club face from TaylorMade there. I really like the look of the Cobra drivers as well. So I'm going to maybe test those out and see if something kind of really, kind of tickles, my fancy, if you will, with a driver. So we did get a question there I did want to let you answer. From, looks like Downey's Barber, asking about his Cobra F9, hazardous smoke, stiff flex 10.5 degrees. I feel like my ball flight is just high and weak, no penetration or rollout. Putting the heavyweight forward change anything with his flight in the F9, which is, I believe, a 2019 driver, 2018, something like that.
Heavyweight always, helps reduce spin. I would say 200 to 300 RPMs of spin and blow that ball flight, maybe give you a little more ball speed. But I would first assess the loft. When you talk about 10.5, you could probably play around with less loft. If it's a weak right shot, you can play around with a upright lie angle as well. But maybe a 9-degree head instead, set it upright, I think would help him out a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of when he said, 10.5 degrees, depending on his swing speed, if he can keep the ball in the air at 9, which it seems like that high flight is already an issue. So it does seem like that moving it down to maybe 9 degrees or finding a 9-degree head would be an option there.
Yep. I also have a question here about finishes for SM9s. SM9 finishes are going to be very similar to SM8. We still got the jet black. You still got the brushed finished as well. I believe they're also going to come out with their raw finish too, but very, very similar to SM8.
We got one here about, let's see, I'm a pretty high swing player, 170 plus ball speed, gaming at G425 Max, but I'm in love with the LTDx. How much forgiveness do you think I'd really lose switching over? Interesting, because G425 Max I think has been one of the favorites among fitters here in terms of the forgiveness factor. So I don't know have we done head-to-head from G425 Max to LTDx yet? And if we haven't, that'd be probably a good one for us.
We haven't. We'll have to do kind of like our ultimate videos and compare all the different low spinning driver heads, all the more forgiving driver heads there too. And then I want to follow up on that. I'm noticing Ski 350 here about comparing Stealth, LTDx, etc. I probably won't be doing the testing there. I'll probably let maybe Jackie or even like Skylar or someone else. I can do the testing at a slower swing speed if people want to see that. But I think for our ultimate videos, we like to get people that would kind of fit into that category to do the testing. Always the challenge is it's going to be consistency, and we don't have to delete out any shots essentially when I'm doing the testing. If you've got someone with a higher handicap golfer, it does take a little bit more work to put together video production because we know there's going to be some bad shots in there, and do we want to show those bad shots? I think it's important to show the miss-hits. I'm pretty good at showing those miss-hits there too, but that's always the challenge. Is we want golfers to align themselves with the type of club head. I think that's why I'll change up the club speed in future testing, but challenge always is consistency. So,
I know. And speaking of consistency, that's where we kind of have an interesting agenda today because we have wedges that you're going to hit. We're going to see the SM9, see if people have questions about those wedges while you're hitting them. I also wanted to show people how tight your dispersion is with those wedges. And then we do have some driver heads here with us as well that we'll do some driver testing and a different change of pace I'll be swinging today, which talking about miss hits and stuff, that's where a little bit me coming into play with some miss hits. There'll probably be some of those as well. I've got this snap hook tendency that you guys might enjoy. So, well,
I'm going to start hitting some wedge shots as I'm starting to warm up here. Viewers, if you're on here, you guys help us out with regards to what you want to see. Let us know how you want us to do those game improvement comparisons because let's face it, I agree that me hitting a game improvement iron is probably maybe not always perfect. Our initial testing is great, but me hitting a 7-iron 220 yards, it probably is not ideal for testing. So let us know how you want us to do it. We'd love to have more contributors on the channel for sure. It just, it's trying to find the right golfers on the channel.
For sure.
All right, I'm going to grab some wedges here and get warmed up. And I have 56 SM8 and SM9. I got the 56, 14F here. We'll test those and see how they compare against each other.
Okay. Commenter he loves the G425 Max, but he says he feels he can get away with a lot, bought it off the shelf as is. Going in for a fitting, can't help but hope I can get myself into an LTDx. So I think one of the things that it seems like the one con to G425 Max and that line of drivers seems to be the sound, or perhaps the feel, depending on what your preferences are. It's a very unique sound. It's a little bit louder, kind of more feedback, if you will. And if you're a player that matters a lot to you, it seems like LTDx is a little bit softer in that regard. So that's something to note. Again, we have some testing yet to do and comparing those two head to head, but that's one thing that I would at least say from my vantage point and my experience so far.
Yeah, I would completely agree. And the sound inside is going to be a little bit different to outside too, but definitely you can kind of notice a little bit more of an echo for sure. All right, so let's start with SM9 here.
All right, so you've got the SM9, and then what's the loft and grind again?
56. So this is actually the 14F. I grabbed that because I know we have a 14F SM8 that's also got brand new grooves on it too, so we can do a little testing.
All right, you got 56, and you got which grind? Sorry, I was
I got the F grind.
F grind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just wanted to have the two same grinds against each other, or same loft.
So, and for those who don't know or maybe are watching, could you kind of explain what the F grind is, what it's supposed to be for those players?
Yeah, so F grind is square face grind essentially. I think of it as for a golfer that doesn't really manipulate the club face too much. You think about it, I think about more in like the 46, 48, 50, 52.
Yeah.
It is available in the sand wedge as well, but it's for those golfers that really just like to chip and keep that
you're
face
not
square.
opening, closing, you're just
Right. And that's only available, the F grind is only available from 46 to 52.
Okay.
Yeah, because we don't really open and close those clubs.
Right. So what type of shot are you hitting right here? Like, is there a target distance that you'd hit this club?
Yeah, so that was almost 1030. I'm going to try and hit about 1030 swing. Normally about 105 is what my carry distance was. Now, that was the first swing, so it's going to be just a little bit shorter as I'm warming up, but I'm trying to carry it about 105. Yeah. That would be probably pretty close there.
Yeah.
104.2. Yeah, decent amount of spin.
There you go. That's that's what Titleist and Vokey have done with these wedges. That it's funny, and I mentioned this in the swing report video that with drivers, manufacturers are chasing high launch, low spin, and it's almost the opposite with wedges, where you're trying to get kind of that low launch, controlled flight, but then high spin.
Right.
So control the ball as much as possible, and I think they've done a great job of that. And I certainly noticed, it seems like the ball is a little bit lower launching, more controllable. They've increased, or I guess raised vertically, the center of gravity this year to, almost push that ball down a little bit at launch time. That way, it's easier to control, easier to manipulate when you're trying to save a par or perhaps stick one in there for birdie.
Yeah, it's so important to launch the ball fairly low with your wedges, and also where you hit it on the face there too. You want to be kind of between kind of grooves like 2 and 5. If it's too high on the face, it's just going to kind of float. It's going to float with not much spin on it. If it's lower, it's the thin shot's going to spin a little bit more and come out a little bit lower yet.
Great question here from Sam. Says, hey guys, if you had a 44-degree pitching wedge, how would you gap the other 3 wedges? 48, 52, and 58, or 48, 54, 58?
I'd keep it consistent for one. I would always say like 4 to 6 degree gaps. Depends on how many other clubs you've got, whether you want a 60 or a 58 in your bag.
Yeah.
If you don't, you could just go 50, 56. If you want to tighten those gaps up a little bit more, you always go like 59, 54, 49, 54, 59, just by bending the wedges just a touch to try and tie them together.
That's to say, you can, when you come in a second swing, we can adjust those. Let's say he's at 44 now, maybe he wants 49, 54, 59. He could do that too.
Yeah.
We could be adjusting them a little bit. The loft that's stated on the club doesn't necessarily mean it has to be 48 degrees, for example. If it says 48 degrees on the club head, we can bend that a little bit, tweak it so that it does work in gapping for your set.
Just know that when you do tweak a little bit, you've got to keep in mind the bounce is also going to follow suit. So if you're increasing the loft, the bounce is also going to increase. Increase the loft by 1 degree, the bounce is also going to increase by 1 degree. Decrease the loft by 1 degree, it's also going to decrease by 1 degree.
Yeah.
I love that last comment there. Thomas loves his Callaway high toe wedge. Yeah.
Yeah.
The PM grind's been great.
The PM grind,
so
that's what you said,
hit,
is perhaps your favorite club in the bag, right?
Yeah, so it's interesting, you're talking on that Titleist hasn't really come out with a high toe wedge. They're just so traditional in their wedges.
They stick with what works. I mean, these different manufacturers have tried that, and I think there's a lot of players that like that design. My highest lofted wedge last 2 years, I've had a PM grind, I've had the TaylorMade high toe, and I've liked that myself. Vokey has stuck with what's worked, and they haven't really released that type of wedge yet. Paying TaylorMade, Callaway, they've all had that type of wedge with that higher toe design.
Yeah, it's just, it's so easy to hit. It's forgiving. It doesn't, you open up the face. It's just the grooves seem to line up a lot easier.
Yeah.
honestly, it's like cheating out of the sand. Yeah. There you go. So just under 10,000 RPMs of spin is what we're seeing here in the last couple of swings. It felt pretty good.
Yeah,
a little bit more spin there.
Yep.
Didn't curve as much to the left. Actually, it curved dead straight. So
yeah, 0 feet of curve.
And I generally draw the ball just a little bit more. Yeah. Getting in the middle of the face today and seeing the white marks, which is always fun off the golf ball. It's always exciting when you hit new wedges, new grooves. You can see those where you're hitting it on the face.
You got fresh wedges, you know, fresh golf ball.
Might be close to 105. Yeah, 105.1 total.
That's the number.
Yep.
Yeah, someone piggybacked on Sam's question about, you know, gapping has become a little more difficult with, you know, pitching wedge lofts becoming a lot stronger down to almost 40 degrees now. That's a good point, and I think it's something that a lot of golfers might not think about or might dismiss in their bags. But, you know, I would imagine there's a lot of players out there that might have a 40 or 41 degree pitching wedge, and then they go into a gap wedge that might be 50 or 52, and they don't really know that that's a humongous gap to a lot of yardages to fill up, and you're essentially trying to 3/4 swing a pitching wedge in there, and it might not be the right play for you.
Right, and you got to consider skill level there too. I mean, ideally, it's nice to have 2 or 3 different yardages with each wedge, but if your skill level is not there where you can do a 9 o'clock and a 10:30 swing, then it makes it a little bit more challenging, and that's when you're going to probably need to have wedge lofts a little bit closer together. That's where you talk about a golfer that hits the ball far. That's when, you know, we get the comment sometimes with these game improvement irons, well, he's going to need 5 wedges in his bag. Well, maybe.
Yeah. If you're a fast swinger and you hit you have these game improvement irons with your 7-iron loft is down to 26 or 27 degrees, then it might become that, you know? Because if you're going to be, at that point, you're hitting your 4 or 5 iron, 240, 250, and you're not going to need, you know, a ton else at the top of the bag. So. Yeah,
and I think probably most golfers need to, you know, think about like 58 or 60. Some other golfers don't even need those 2 clubs, that club in the bag. If it works well for you, great. But you can always open and close the face a little bit with a 56, as opposed to if you're trying to help with gapping. But gapping, I'm not going to lie, it can be a little more challenging for game improvement irons.
Has to be,
especially for golfers that hit the ball fairly far.
Question from Ryan here too about the Vokey SM9 wedges. Do you feel these are the best wedges available right now in 2022? And that's something, you know, we will test for sure, kind of once everything's out there, and we can do kind of an ultimate test. But I mean, I think the data speaks for itself in terms of how many players play the Vokey wedges every year. They're certainly the most popular brand, and I imagine that's for good reason, because every year all the grinds available plus the feel, it's all really good.
Right. We haven't done any head-to-head testing yet. Now that'll be soon. I'd love to throw T22 versus
T22
versus SM9 and throw in a couple other of the new models coming out. But I will say this: Titleist make it so easy as a club fitter, and I will gravitate towards Titleist most of the time when I'm fitting wedges. When I talk about those 6 different grinds, that's just. There's a reason why they are the best, really, in the industry with regards to the wedges. Is, you know, they make it easy.
They're very, you know, they're all distinct too. It's not like they overlap really very much, and especially now with like the K and L grinds, you can really, you know, dial in that maybe that minority player that is kind of unique compared to the rest of the grinds. Still, you still have something for those players too. So, really, that's the thing about Vokey that's the best, and they've recognized how club fitting has become a huge part of the game now. All those grinds are available, so I think it's a huge advantage for the club fitting process, at least, to have all those grinds available.
Okay, so I want to jump to SM8 now, since we hit the SM9. I want to jump to the SM8.
Sure.
Take out that first shot, that first swing that I did. And then take a look at the averages and see what we're working with.
Sure.
And then we'll
yeah,
hit
this first shot was your kind of slower speed.
a little bit slower, yep.
Yeah.
So I got 4 up there. My average club speed was 80.3 and my attack angle was 3.8. So that's my goal when I'm hitting these shots, is to try and keep that as close to possible.
Yeah.
So we can see if there's any difference. Once
Sure.
again, the lofts are the exact same, the grind's the exact same, the length's the exact same. Be interesting just to talk about the differences between them.
All right, so we'll go to the tags quick here.
And as you're doing that,
So you're using the same bounce in loft, correct?
same exact bounce, same exact loft, same exact length. I'm going to talk about the differences in look between them, two of them, and really there's not like a major look difference in the look, honestly. You look at the backside, you can see that the cutout is kind of gone. That used to be in the SM8, so it's kind of right there. But looking down at them visually, I would say SM9 is slightly rounder, but it's hard to see, and maybe just a touch smaller. But it would be hard for me to.
I mean, overall
to say
they're pretty
that.
similar, which
Yeah.
I don't. In a sense, if there's not a lot of change, it's probably fair because the SM8 wedges were so good. So it's one of those things where you don't want to, fix something if it's not broken, but also you want to make the right improvements to dial golfers in a little bit more. So
correct. Okay, what I say, 80.3, 3.8
minus
on the attack angle.
on the attack angle.
Yeah,
This is just your last shot with.
Yep, that was the one you just took out. .7 minus 4.
Okay. Interesting that you were a little bit steeper.
Yep.
And a little bit faster, barely, but you did have less spin on that.
Right. I swung just a little bit faster on that one. Slow it down just a touch. Pull that one just a touch.
Just a slight pull?
Yep. So yeah, we're seeing for sure the spin, the SM, so 2 swings in, the SM9 is definitely spinning a little bit more than the SM8. All right.
There you go.
There we go. That's probably a pretty good one right there to at least use as averages. Yeah, 96.21, carry 105. That was a little slower.
A little bit slower. I think it didn't, I don't know, maybe I was mishearing. Maybe it sounded a little bit heavy as well.
That was a little heavy. Let's get one more in there that's a little faster than that one and see if we notice any difference.
Then we do have a bunch of questions here that we'll get to as well after that.
That should be a little closer to 105. Yep, 106.2. All right, so probably take that 4th one out.
So this one here.
Yep.
So we got 4 of each, and this is again a very quick test. Not a humongous sample size, obviously, but your club speed's pretty similar. Attack angle pretty similar as well.
Yep.
Actually, a little steeper with the SM8.
I mean, 0.2. It's yeah, you're getting.
This is what I have to learn to do with Thomas Campbell. Nitpicking is you have to do it.
0.3 with the club speed, 0.2 with the attack angle, but what we're noticing there is definitely the spin. SM9 spinning a little bit more. SM8's going further because it's spinning a little bit less.
SM9 one thing to note, and your number with this shot is 105. And 104.8 carry is probably going to get it done for you.
Yeah. Height, the exact same, 82, 83 feet in the air. So, yeah, it's we're seeing SM9s just spinning just a little bit more. And I will follow up here and say both of these clubs are brand new.
Yeah.
So I grabbed a SM8 that was on the shelf there that hadn't been hit before, and SM9 was the first time we kind of hit it there today. So both of them, the grooves, excellent shape. Because I know that's the other thing that Titleist will bring up there too is
how many
after
rounds?
75 rounds of golf, you can lose about 1,000 RPMs of spin with the wedge. Which
is significant, as you can see, because 1,000 RPMs of spin, this is 800-ish. and you're already, it's a 3-yard difference, you know. So if you, you know, obviously go move that to 1,000, they're probably losing, you know, it's, well, I shouldn't say losing, you're probably actually gaining about 4 or 5 yards on your approach shots.
Yep.
And that can be a big difference in terms of the putt you have left. So
Right.
something to note there for golfers that, and again, it's different because you're getting used to that change over time, where, you know, you're using that wedge and you're getting used to the wear on that and the spin that is not as, you know, not produced as much. But
Yeah, so the difference, I guess, you look at here, carry to total distance, is I was actually backing the ball up almost half a yard.
Yeah.
If you look at the SM9, sorry, that was SM8, was actually going forward about half a yard, and SM9 was backing up about half a yard.
Yep.
So a little bit better stopping power there with the SM9. So it's, I mean, all their numbers are very, very close. I mean, we're talking landing angle, so 52.5, height the same.
Yeah. Very similar, honestly.
Very, very similar. Yeah. But we're noticing that spin difference a little bit.
All right, we do have a few questions I wanted to get to here. One good one was from Dave. For tight lies around the green, is there an ideal bounce for the wedge to have? And basically, to my knowledge, you want something with little bounce on a tight lie.
Yeah, so...
And it does depend on how the player delivers it.
Right.
I know the commenters sometimes don't love us saying, just depends on how you deliver the club, because that's the generic answer. But it's also true that, you know,
yeah, because most people would say, well, why not? Why don't I just go for that L grind? It's got 4 degrees of bounce on it. Well, that L grind is a very unique grind wedge. It's for a high quality player.
Yeah.
So bounce is your friend.
Yeah.
So a little bit more bounce would be better. And I would be thinking more along the lines of M grind. That's got 8 degrees of bounce in that circumstance.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, not saying that his wedge game, he's not a great wedge player or anything like that. He could be, but it's nice to have a little bit of versatility. So if you go somewhere else and play somewhere else, it's nice to not just be tied into a club that's got 4 degrees of bounce on it. I mean, you think about the golfers that do use those, you know, they're changing out the wedges. I know Cameron Smith a couple weeks ago, he was using M grind out in Hawaii when he won, but I know he talked about having the T grind, which is low bounce, when he plays down like Texas.
Yeah, which makes sense. You know, that's, I would imagine those guys that are playing all over the country are changing those all the time, the bounce, the grind on their wedges, regardless of manufacturer, because those conditions change very drastically week to week depending on where they're traveling to.
But let's face it, you know, if we're paying for wedges, we don't have the luxury there to bring 4 different types of wedges with us. We want to have a wedge in our bag that is versatile enough to allow you to change up the conditions that you're playing in.
Yeah, that's true. And that's why we always endorse having multiple different grinds in the bag as well, and not sticking to the one.
I love the last comment there. Let me clear that up for you. I'm a terrible wedge player on the greens.
He's also asking, this is actually a good question too that he followed up with regarding our conversation about losing spin. Why don't other clubs lose 1,000 RPMs after 75 rounds? You know, our wedge is much softer than that. And so, I mean, the groove construction is very different, but that is something to note that, you know, you're going to lose spin faster with wedges, A, because you're using them more, right? You're using your wedge, you know, your 58, 56 degree, whatever you use around the green. Like, I'm a player that uses the same wedge with every shot, and I know you've tried to correct me on that, but I'm going to use that a lot more than my 8-iron or my 6-iron, which I might use 3 or 4 times around. Maybe.
Okay, so I want to follow up on that, and I think the PGA Tours, once again, they get the clubs for free, so it's a little bit easier for them, but they use a 4-3-2-1 formula each year.
Okay.
They will replace their 60 degree or their lob wedge 4 times a year. They will replace their sand wedge or their 54, 56 3 times a year. Gap wedge twice, pitching wedge once. Now, why is that? Because we know that those clubs that are higher lofted, they're going to use out of the sand, they're going to use more often, it's going to wear the face down a lot. Yeah. They're practicing a lot of shots with those clubs. They may not be playing multiple
and a lot of those
rounds.
guys probably have backup wedges too for practice. And
you know, when you're hitting a bunker shot, maybe 50, 100 bunker shots with a 60 degree wedge, that's going to wear that face down pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I know, you know, the wedges, you know, they're designed not to wear like crazy, but let's just face it. You look at a wedge that's been used, you'll see that little spot in the middle, hopefully in the middle of the face, but you'll see it will wear pretty fast. Yeah, so that's probably a good way to kind of to follow up on that is assess your higher lofted wedges first. You don't have to replace your. I'm saying you have to replace your pitching wedge every year.
No,
but your sand wedge and your lob wedge.
Those
if you're playing more than 75 rounds in a year,
58 degree or my kind of lob wedge every year for the last 3 or 4 years, just because by the end of the year it's so worn out that I would like to get that control back a little bit. But
Yeah.
we did have one here from Daniel. He's asking about drivers. He says he's broken 3 TS3 drivers. So he's changing to the first sim in a hazardous green 6.5. No fitting centers around here in North Scotland, but asking if Tensai white is a good alternative shaft for him. And then he follows up with, I love the hazardous green, but Tensai white seems to be a stock option on most new drivers.
It's honestly, you know, I think of the green, I think of the Hulk. I mean, it's kind of the Hulk shaft, right? It's a very low torque shaft, low spinning shaft. Depending on the weight, and I think you can get 60 or 70 gram in that. But yeah, I'd say the Tensai white, it also would fit in. In the Tensai family, you've got your blue, you got your red, and then you've got the white. And the white for sure is the lowest spinning, lowest torque in that family.
Yeah,
it's probably pretty comparable. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then let's go with this one here. We'll try to compare again. We haven't done head-to-head yet. Ryan asking about Vokey versus Jaws.
Yep.
MB5.
We haven't done any head-to-heads yet.
I do remember Jaws feeling very soft when we did those testing.
Right.
Kind of a unique, you know, especially that kind of like raw face was very soft. So
yeah, and they've had their Jaws Mac Daddy 5 wedges out for a while. I would be surprised if they come out with something later this year too. Wouldn't be surprised if there's something in the works. Maybe then we'll be able to compare new versus new. But we'd also throw in the Mac Daddy 5 ones against them for sure.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any other wedge testing you wanted to do today?
I mean, and this, honestly, I kind of I'm excited to see you hit drives.
Oh, we're getting to that point of the session.
I think, I mean, unless people, let's ask them, do they want me to hit some shots with a 52, a 60, talk about gapping, talk about
so we have more wedges here to hit.
Clock system.
There was also some asking of me to hit tee shots today too, which could be interesting because
well, that's my ask.
That's your ask. There is more speed potential there. There's also way larger dispersion potential there too. So
yeah,
we can answer some more questions here as well as we get into that. But
yeah, let's give it a little bit longer. If people want me to hit wedge shots, great. If people want to see you just hit your bombs, then I'm all for you hitting bombs.
I can give it a crack. That's 100%.
Yeah.
I can do that. Ooh, here's one. Full face or regular face? Is there any difference or is it a preference? There is some differences there. I know you're very familiar with them.
Yeah, so, it's unique for sure. I'm not going to lie. The first time I put the high toe full face wedge down, I thought it looked ugly.
Yeah.
It's quite different.
Yeah.
But it took me about 5 shots around the green hitting with it, and I was like, I'm sold. I don't care what it looks like. I get used to the look of it for sure.
Yeah.
But it depends on the player. I'm not going to say it's very easy to hit, very, very forgiving wedge. I wouldn't do it in all your wedges. Right. But you're 60 for sure if you're looking for something that's, like I said, kind of like cheating around the around the green.
And that's where I agree. And the center of gravity is a little bit different too.
Right.
It actually, if you're trying to keep the ball low, it actually helps because there's with that raised club head, it's the toe, you're more weight up there. It actually helps it launch a little bit lower. So there is some more control to be had there if you can get over that look. So we're getting some more responses here.
I see a lot of bombs, but let's answer that question. What wedge shafts? How to pick the right one?
That's a good one. We'll end on that one for the kind of the wedge discussion here.
Okay, so I would go 2 different directions here. I would either go play the exact same wedge shafts that you're playing in your irons, keep it consistent, or go maybe a little bit softer flex in your wedges.
Softer flex. Okay.
Softer flex. Now, so maybe you can go a little heavier as well, but for the most part, maybe if you're playing 6.5s, maybe go 6.0s or something like that. Or you see on tour, a lot of guys will play, say, X100s, will play extra stiff shaft, and they'll drop down to S400s in their wedges. I think the Dynamic Gold S400 Tour issue is a very, very popular wedge used on tour. I actually play it myself. I play a 6.5 extra stiff shaft, but I drop down to S400s.
Okay.
It's just, it honestly, a lot of times they'll say, it's play dependent, preference kind of thing.
Is.
I think you got to kind of play one season with and try it out and figure out what's best for you to see it better. But from what I've noticed is I like playing S400 Tour issue versus playing Project X LZ 6.5 all the way through my clubs.
Sure. Yep. All right. Well, with that said, I think we can. I'll get ready to hit some tee shots.
All right. Well, You want to hit, say, 50-degree gap wedge here to warm up with first. Get your opinion on
the wedges. Yeah.
On the wedges. Actually, I think I got a 46. No, it's 54. We'll get it figured out. There you go, 46.
Sweet. Sweet.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, and as he's warming up here, I'll just kind of talk about the difference. You obviously can see them online there too, but the difference really is just kind of on the back here is the badge, that little cutout SM9 versus 8. But really, it's.
I mean, it's not a huge difference, but it's enough there.
Yeah.
I know you kind of like the newer look better. I know you've said from at least that backside.
It looks a little more blade-like, I guess you could say. Let me change this tag over for you and get you a warm-up shot.
So, and for those, I think we saw some people asking for, ST-Z 220. We've got that here.
Yep.
We've got LTDx. We also do have the Callaway and TaylorMade Woods as well, or drivers, but we did want to get those ones. I know a lot of people asked for Mizuno last week, so we'll definitely get that one involved.
Yeah, we'll get that in the mix. The only challenge we have with Mizuno is the ability to incorporate our all-fit system in with that.
That's a little bit different.
We have to take the screw out, and it's like a metal screw that just doesn't move. So I haven't been able to get it out yet. But I do have very comparable shafts that we can test with there. So maybe won't with the exact same shaft, but we can for sure. I know I've got a Kurokage 70X if we're doing 7Xs when we're testing.
One of the things people are going to see is a pretty crazy club path. Because even with the wedge, I just had a 6.8 club path there.
Well, I've told you how to fix that.
I know. That was a little thin. All right, what is this? 46.
I'm seeing a couple of comments here. Matt TXG. I think it's fun to see him, doing his own thing. I'll take everyone's mind off what just happened there. I think it's interesting. We love watching the TXG videos. They do a great job. There's no doubt they'll do a great job here in the future too. But it'd be interesting to see what Matt ends up doing. I think no doubt what he ends up doing, he's going to end up in a great spot. But
I'm going to get rid of that screen.
Our camera crew right now is cracking up after that last swing.
There we go. That's better.
Surprised you got the golf ball back.
Yeah, it rolled back.
Oh, there's a few comments coming in now.
Jeez. All right.
Open those hips, Drew.
Oh, that was good. All right.
Everyone now is critiquing your swing.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm here for. All right. I feel like I'm decently warmed up. That's the. You keep
warmed up enough.
You look at me and you see that 0 feet of height ground ball that I just hit.
We have a delete button for those shots. So I mean, this is great. I mean, people come for club fitting is. I'm not going to laugh unless the guy wants me to laugh with him. But, we got a quick delete button on miss hits during a fitting, and it's going to happen. I mean, keep in mind, it's January right now. So when's the last time you played golf?
Finally, Drew's swing looks like mine, yeah. That's what I'm here for.
Okay, so where do we want to start here? I've got Stealth. I got Stealth Plus. I got Rogue. Max LS, I got the Rogue ST Triple Diamond LS, I got the Cobra LTDx, Cobra LTDx LS, Mizuno S-220,
There's a lot.
X and Z.
Well, I'll ask you this, Thomas. In terms of working with the all-fit system here with Mizuno, do you want to do that at the beginning or do you want to do it at the end?
So I mean, I have Mizuno. It'd be easier for me to get you started with that one.
Okay, let's just go
with that.
Let's start with Mizuno. We also had a lot of people asking for it, so.
Yep.
I got one more wedge shot while you do that.
And as I mentioned, I'll throw in that Kurokage 70X in this shaft, just so it's very comparable. And then we'll probably do Ventus Blue 7X as we're doing kind of like a head test with all the shafts. Caleb said make sure he starts with normal shaft and throw in an Autoflex golf shaft at the end. We have the magical Autoflex shaft here. ready to go for Drew.
The magical Autoflex.
Let's see if you can keep the dispersion nice and tight with the Autoflex. How tall are you, Drew?
I am 6 feet tall, pretty much on the dot. So I'm hitting a 46-degree wedge a lot further than I thought I was going to.
Got it.
Right now.
All right, and so ST-Z is a 9.5-degree head. So what I'm gonna do here is, all the others are 9s, is I'm just gonna go, I'll put it down like 1.
Okay.
So it's close and comparable. I think it'll be interesting to see here if we put it at 8.5 and the others are at 9. What happens, you know, do we get more bowl speed with that, or is it?
Yeah.
Because technically with less loft you can potentially get more bowl speed overall.
All right. So this is the ST-Z.
Let me change the club and tag here.
This does look a little bit, it's a larger head than I'm used to hitting.
Yeah, and of all of them, it's, what does it look like at a dress with regards to matte versus gloss, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely glossy. But like I can, you know, we got the lighting in here, and that's the first thing I see right now. Is
You see yourself?
I see reflections, I see all the lights above me, you know, and then with a matte finish, I don't see any of that stuff.
Got it. All right. All right, let's get started here.
All right. Fair warning to the viewers, you may see a snap hook or 2 or 10 today.
Pretty good start there. Oh, little open with the face.
Now
but
I'm
your
being,
path was
now
good,
I'm being
though.
conscious about the club path a little bit.
Just swing and just imagine you're out on. So imagine just out on a hole, like swing how you normally would on the golf course. I don't know if that's a good thing, but
It's probably not a good thing.
there you go.
That one was good, I think. Yeah.
That's pretty good right there. Wow. 326.1.
That's going to be the straightest one I hit today. 1 foot of curve.
1 foot of curve. Well, it's going to be hard to beat that.
It's a little bit high on the face, I think.
322.2. Yeah, that's pretty impressive here.
It feels fast. It really does.
Yeah.
Off the face.
What about sound? What about feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not the loudest driver that's available right now.
Okay.
There's definitely, I would put it kind of in the middle in terms of the sound, like how much feedback there is.
Yep.
But I know I've had this issue for a while with a glossy crown. It's just, that's the one big con for me, but
Okay.
that's my own personal thing, I think. That might be a little right. Oh, that's okay.
Not too bad. 317.8. Someone's asking what shaft specs. So for this one, I'm doing the Kurokage 70X. 45.25 inches is what the length I've got on this shaft. We don't, with our all-fit system, I would say this again with Mizuno, is I haven't been able to take out the screw yet. There's kind of metal in there. So for all-fit, we have to take out the screws, punch the screws out, and put in our own. We'll get to that, but
Yeah.
right, this is about as comparable as we're going to do when we're testing the others, and we also test the Ventus 7X blue shaft when we're testing the other heads.
Wow.
169.1.
I think I've got
Very nice.
quite a few.
327.4.
I've got a
That
few.
looked like the smoothest 327.4 I've ever seen. I feel like when I'm swinging, I'm trying to swing out of my shoes to get to 114, and that just looked too easy.
I'm honestly, I'm going to try to keep my club speed around 114 today.
Okay.
At least for the first part of testing, and then if we're
and then maybe when we get
thing,
Autoflex in, then we can
really jump at it. But I'm going to try to keep it at 114 if I can today, but we'll see.
All right, so let's take a look here. See if we can clean up this up a little bit if we need to. We've got that one over here on the right side. Face just a little bit more open. So this one right here. I mean, those three there are pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, I did have. I'm
very, very close there.
Yeah, and it's plenty of spin for me, you know.
Yeah, you're at 1910 on the spin, 296 going 320, 323. Pretty good numbers, honestly. Landing angle 37.6. I always say 30 to 40.
Yep.
Top end of low spin is great because you can get a little bit more out of it. Yeah, I mean, my job might be in jeopardy. People might want some more testing from Drew.
Hey,
in the future.
There's a lot of swinging left to do here.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of sound, though, the interesting thing with TaylorMade is obviously the Stealth is supposed to sound a little bit softer. Let's do the Stealth here next and see how this compares.
So, yeah, this is a completely different look, as you might imagine.
So explain the difference there in the look.
I think, first of all, the shape is more compact, I think, with Stealth Plus. That was the ST-Z. A little more compact, as you like to say, pear-shaped. And you can obviously see a little bit of that red club face. Doesn't bother me a lot. But it's an interesting kind of like color scheme here when you got the blue shaft
and you
with
got
the
black
crown
head, and then you got the red face.
Yeah, but no, I like this. I like this look a lot better too because again, I'm not seeing reflective, clear lights on the crown. You know, what we have in here.
All right, so these were your averages. I'm just going to bring them up again down the bottom. These are your averages on those shots, on those 4 shots. I think you had a question here. Bull spin question mark. It was like 1910 was what you were at there with that one. Okay.
So Stealth Plus here.
Stealth Plus is Ventus 7X. Ventus Blue 7X. Same length.
Just came a little over the top on that one. And for whatever reason, it was a little easier to swing faster there. I didn't feel like I was, that's a 3 mile an hour jump in speed.
Yeah, that jumped up a little bit more. And the bowl speed jumped up a little bit.
Yeah, potentially because my face was a little closed, but.
.327.0, it's pretty good.
I like that.
A little lower spinning there. If we were able to get that to stay in the air a little bit longer, that would have been even further. Noticing that landing angle right at 30.6. Sound for sure is different.
Definitely. That hook is starting to show up, Thomas.
We might have to dial in some stuff here at the end and see what happens. Try to adapt to your swing here today.
I am swinging. I got to, maybe for the sake of the averages, maybe slow down a little bit here.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it at 114.
You're just getting loose and warmed up and excited to hit some bombs.
Ah, sure. That might also
little
be
left
a hook.
again, maybe?
Yep.
Yep.
That's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Actually, I'm surprised that stayed relatively. I mean, depending on the course, that's probably not in the fairway still, but. All right. Got one more with this one?
One more, yep. Did a little higher launch. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting with this one. It got a little bit more of that curve to the left. And I mean, that's more, your path gets a little bit into out at times.
Yes, it does.
It's something you're fighting right now.
Yeah.
So I think actually you've got 2 on top of each other here. Let's see what we can take away. Probably maybe this one. I don't know. I mean, they're almost identical there.
It is funny how there's a very clear left. One's left, one's right.
Right.
Of the 2 of them.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, I did put the loft down a little bit with that Mizuno ST-Z.
That's right. So that should open it a little bit.
So it should open a little bit. So I put it at -1. So that probably is part of the.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done with you in the previous past is we have given you a 10.5 degree head
and then lofted it down.
Lofted it down.
That's what I'm fit for right now.
Yeah.
In my Sim 2. So, and that's again where if I see something today that I'm like, this is awesome. Maybe I put that in the bag. But.
Yeah. So here's your hit location when you're hitting the Stealth Plus. Pretty good. Yeah. So that's the difference also there. So gear effect is going to make a huge difference overall. I find it interesting, however, that the spin was just a little bit lower with the Stealth Plus, 1826 versus 1910.
Yeah.
Even though your hit location when you're hitting the ST-Z was a little higher on the face. Yeah. I find that interesting.
Probably a lot of that is just due to how my club path was so much more into out with the Stealth. I guess it wasn't a huge difference.
What do we got here?
It's 4.5.
4.5 versus 2.9. Yeah, that height was hurting you. You notice the landing angle at 29.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some serious potential there with that Stealth for sure. We noticed you were swinging, you got a little bit more ball speed for sure, efficiency.
Yeah.
We would need to give you a little more loft. And the same thing, I would probably open that thing up. Loft that thing up.
Give me a 10.5 degree
10.5 probably set at lower to open that face 4 degrees for you.
Sure.
Which is reason probably why you play that. Just fighting that hook. Okay, pretty good. Look, sound. You said big differences in look is really
I like the feel of this a little bit better than the Mizuno. I do like it's a little bit softer, and I think I like that. I don't love a ton of feedback even when I hit it good. Like I'd prefer to kind of not have a ton of that vibration in my hands.
Yeah.
So I think I like that better about the Stealth. And I've said I love this look. I mean, it's very clean on the crown. Just the black. They've eliminated all the different colors that they've put on there. I like that a lot. There is a little part of me that's like this kind of the blue with the red and the black is a little bit weird, but that's just about this golf shaft in particular, I guess.
Got it. Look, a couple of comments here. Stephen D, would 10.5 open be a good option for him to help with the closed face? Or you're better adjusting the weight? Stephen, you sound like a fitter. It's exactly what we've done with you.
That sounds like he was in the room for my fitting last year.
Yeah, so I mean, if you've seen, you actually would have to go back on a lot of the videos. Drew's driver fitting on our channel.
Yeah,
we did
exactly 2021 fitting.
We actually did exactly that.
Yep.
Yeah, we had 10.5 opened up 4 degrees. Okay, so let's move on. Next, we've got the Cobra LTDx LS shaft, head, sorry. Same shaft, and just swapping this to put the same, exact same there. One thing I will have to do with the LTDx LS is switch the weights around. So with the LTDx LS, you've got those 2 weights that are pushed forward on the face. Yeah. Right now it's set on the heel with the 10 gram, and it's set on the toe there with the 3 gram. I'm gonna want to flip those because we don't really need you to be drawing it.
Don't need more hook
anymore here.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Cobra. I'm excited for this one because this has been a pretty good.
There was a lot of fanfare for the Cobra last week during when you were hitting the shots.
And we just did some testing with the LTDx yesterday. Actually, did a head-to-head test, and it was performing pretty well too. So
yes,
I think Cobra. They have to bring out a driver that's going to be fast this year. They've got they got Bryson. They've got I mean they've got the Berkshire. Yeah. They've got to make sure that they're playing. That they got guys playing.
Got a good question here. If I have a low launch angle but need more open face, is it too dangerous to lower the loft then? If you already launch it low, it's a good question for you because it looks like on the comment he's thinking 9 degrees down to 7.5 for loft. Says he has high swing speed, low launch angle though.
Well, so you have to have when you have speed, you have to have a lower launch angle. If you have a lot of speed and you have a very, very high launch angle, that thing is just going to fly really high.
It's going to
and it's going to spin a lot. It's going to balloon. Now, I would assess what his attack angle is and what his hit location is first. Then we can start tweaking around with those.
Yeah.
Because everyone delivers the club so differently.
Because the launch angle could be due to where it's hitting on the face. Is what you're alluding to.
Exactly. Yep. But yeah, so I mean, generally, speaking, the faster you swing, the lower you need to launch the ball, and that's why faster swing speed players will play less loft on their driver versus slower swing speed players will play more loft on their driver. Okay, got this guy set up here for you.
So this is the LTDx LS, and you've got the heavier weight in the toe. So, and then I don't know, well, just to clarify, if there's, golfers that don't know, there's these 2 weight slots on the sole. You can put a 10 gram or a 3 gram. 10 gram on the toe, 3 in the heel here, but you can move those around.
You can flip flop those as I was just doing there. We just didn't need it in the heel for you. Yeah. As your miss is kind of a little bit to the left.
It's a little bit of a whistle when I swing this thing.
Good launch.
A little bit off the toe there.
Yep.
So.
Good miss it.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see. So 145 on the smash.
Yeah, didn't quite catch that on the center. I'm sure if you looked at the hit location, you'd see that, but we don't need to do that. Oh, same thing. Even worse, though.
Yeah, just a little kind of like high toe with that lower spin.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, there's the mark is right there. So the dimple mark there. Which is knocking down the spin, and that's the where you want to miss it. I know you always say that. That is going to be a low pull hook.
A little quick on that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the shot I was afraid of people seeing today.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is, you hit that one well. So notice your ball speed 171.8, smash factor 148. These 3 numbers here just kind of hurting you a little bit.
I just came, when I have a in-to-out club path, I can't have the closed face too. That'll hurt me.
Right. Yep.
All right.
321.9. That was better. At least your path and your face angle were kind of matched up a little bit better.
Closer to matched up there. That started way out there to the right. Hopefully it comes back. Yeah.
Let's go one more of this one.
Yeah, that face was a little open on that one. And by a little, I mean a lot.
Well, Drew, it had to be because your path was, in to out 6 degrees.
Yep.
So we can see here when you hit those 5 shots, you didn't hit it as well. Actually, you hit 6 shots there with it. So you can see
Look at that.
A little bit shorter. Now, obviously, I can clean it up a little bit.
Well,
But you'll notice your dispersion was, maybe a little bit more kind of left and right with the driver. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see what we got here to see if there's one that's
that one was
probably
really
that one there.
Wow.
Take that one out if we were going to do 4 versus 4 versus 4. Get your averages here.
Yep.
Yeah. But we weren't hitting it quite as well as the other 2. Just a little bit shorter in distance, and that's more because the ball was either getting on the ground or you're leaving the face a little bit more open. You weren't swinging as fast as well.
Yeah.
But
I'm no Thomas Campbell in terms of consistent club speed, but
hey, this is going to happen. Spin was still pretty close to the others, but you'll notice plus or minus number was a little bit larger.
A lot of that due to the various strikes that it had, but
yeah. All right, give me some feedback on that. I know you probably didn't put your best swings together when you were hitting that driver.
I really like so this look. They have kind of these lines right here that are a little bit reminiscent of the the Ping turbulators a little bit.
Yep.
Not quite. I mean, Ping had a lot of that kind of going on at the front of the crown with those turbulators. There's a little bit of that action here, but I like this look a lot. It's very similar to the Stealth, where you got kind of that, the black crown, and then you have this kind of the line up in front, which is a little bit of a darker color, if you will. But no, I think it's really nice. I think the feel too. They've done a really good job with the milled club face. It's kind of a unique innovation that they're sticking with because it works. So
Yep.
I think that it's clearly some good technology in here, and there's a reason it's performed really well for you in testing so far. So.
Yeah, I mean, last week was great, especially with adding the Autoflex in there at the end. It was I was hitting some bombs, something for you to chase. But
yeah,
let's switch over now to Callaway. Let's do the Rogue ST Max LS. All right. Let's see if there's any other questions here while I'm doing that. Does anyone see fit that TrackMan gives gear effect too much credit, like toe shots go too far left for a right-hander? No, I think it's just a great way to explain why the ball goes left or goes the way to the right. I think it's extremely accurate, and it's exactly what you would see kind of outside there too.
I mean, it is. It matches up. And obviously we're inside here, but I get that feel of that toe strike. It's the same thing I see outside, where it's just the kind of almost dive out of the sky, roll out a ton type of shot. So, and then, I mean, there's maybe something to that if we really wanted to test it out, bring the TrackMan outside and hit a toe shot on the range and see how it is different.
How it's different, yeah.
I would imagine it'd be very similar.
Yeah, I mean, we have the advantage there to do that in the summertime when we get to test outside. Yeah, I think it would be an interesting test to see how they all, how that really occurs. Because, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of curve on some of those shots, but it's more club path, face angle, and then hit location, which kind of influences that.
All right, so this is the Max LS. See, this feels like almost as big of a club head as the ST-Z.
Okay.
In terms of the footprint, looking down at it. Seems like the last two, or the Stealth for sure, probably the LTDx LS were a little bit more compact than this one.
Got it.
But I like the matte finish quite a bit.
Yep.
Ooh, come over the top on that one.
And a little left on that one.
That will not be good. Shield your eyes. Wow, that's a lot of speed. Club speed, I did not think I did that. That one's better.
There we go. Full
that
speed.
One's better.
All right, we got 328.3.
Is that the new leader right now?
I think that is. I think you were like 327. We'll have to double check here earlier on. I think you're 30. Early on, you're like 327. 149 smash. I don't think we've seen as high as that either. So
that was right when I hit that. It felt really good.
Yeah.
All right, it's a little low on the face, so that could go anywhere. Yeah, a lot of low on the face.
Yeah. Do we want to take a look here? Yeah, low heel. So once again, I love gear effect. I love talking about hit location all the time.
It's crazy how much it matters.
It matters so much. Look what happened here when you hit the ball low heel. Spin rate 3603.
Yeah.
You basically almost doubled your spin from the last shot.
Yeah.
By hitting it there on the face. And you notice what happened to your distance.
Yeah,
268 going to 84. We go the shot before.
295 going 328.
295 going 328. So you lost 40 yards there just because you went from middle of the face to
that'll work.
Low heel.
If only I could do that every swing.
.170 ball speed.
A little bit out to the right, face angle is open.
330.4. Right. I like that.
That was, I think, the most efficient one of the day.
Another one, 149. Yep. So landing angle 34.3. I love that. Height 99 feet in the air.
That's what you're looking for right there?
It's more optimal for sure.
could be good. Just a little bit.
A little bit
I think
toey?
A shade toey.
You got 1, 2, 3,
one,
4,
but-
5. Okay. So we got that one. Oh, actually, you got a couple outliers with this one. Let's hit one more.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the one that launched 7.7 degrees is not going to stay in there.
On 70.4.
Ooh, it did it again.
All right. Curve on the bowl.
It's a lot of it, isn't it?
Right. Okay. So if we look at averages, we can kind of break this down and see numbers. With the exception of the Stealth, you're basically 114 with the club speed. Both speed, Stealth and Callaway Rogue ST Max. So Stealth Plus and 171 there. And efficiency 149, 148. So I mean, I would always kind of jump to that efficiency overall and show the numbers there. Interesting, the spin 1828, 1826. Those two are almost kind of identical. 283, 282.6, 320.2, 320 point.
How about, looks like Mizuno in terms of, again, this is very small sample size and everything, but distance-wise, Mizuno had the highest distance average.
Right, on average there, yeah, a little bit more spin there, and that's the height. So notice the launch a little bit higher, the landing angle and height, so 113 feet in the air. So yeah, it was good. It wasn't, probably your first one you're hitting probably wasn't right in the middle of the face every single time.
Right.
If we look at, well.
Oh, I think I accidentally swung.
That's all right.
I picked up my swing there.
If we look here, Mizuno, you got those ones there that were pretty close together. Look, Callaway was a little bit more kind of well. Let's get rid of this last one.
Yeah, it's expanding
ruining,
the circle here
ruining
a little bit.
the dispersion here.
There you go.
There we go. So you got Callaway and we got Cobra, maybe a little bit larger overall. This is probably affecting the Callaway numbers overall with regards to your distance numbers. Let's look at total distance now. Okay, so with
I mean, the highest max total, I think both of those, 328 and 330. I'm not sure I got that with the Mizuno.
328.3, 330.4. 321 with the LTDx LS, 327 with the TaylorMade, 327.4, 326.1. Yeah, so this would come down to, if this was a club fitting, we're talking about distance versus dispersion.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to that discussion. It's like, well, one, we know that the two leaders were both Callaway and Mizuno. With regards to your distance numbers, because Callaway 2 in the furthest, Mizuno probably a little bit more consistently every single time. Let me ask you, like, if you're playing, did you like visually one better?
I did like the Callaway visually better.
Is that just the gloss versus the?
It is, and that's a personal preference thing.
Okay.
And it's again, it's simply my preference. Is I just don't like the glossy driver head, and I haven't played one. Oh man, it's been at least 10 years since I played a driver that had the glossy kind of shiny look to it. Yep. I played Ping for a while. I had the G30. That was obviously the matte finish. Now I'm in the Sim 2 as of right now. Same thing. So I just have always liked the matte finish to the driver. And I mean, that's, if I had to pick one right now, it'd be, again, Mizuno I know had the farthest distance up there.
On average, yeah.
On average, it did. But
Yep.
I know there's more potential distance with this one, with the Rogue ST. And I also just like the look better.
Okay. And then obviously the Stealth was also pretty consistent, but it was consistently a little bit left. We do that, we would modify that. We can open up the face with that too as an option. So I mean, yeah, they're all good options. End of the day, whatever is going to give you the most confidence standing over is going to be the biggest thing between them. Is there one that you feel like you want to hit with the Autoflex shaft?
I'm gonna go Callaway. I think.
You're gonna go Callaway?
I am.
Yeah, I think it was fun. I mean, last week I did Cobra. Let's do Callaway this week with Autoflex.
All right. And
have you hit the Autoflex shaft before?
I don't think I have.
I don't think
I really don't think I have.
Yep. Okay.
This could be interesting.
Well, I want to do that, and then I want to come back to like Ventus Black 7X, because this is going to be completely different profiles on the two shafts.
Okay.
So let's see the The Autoflex golf shaft.
So you're saying black, the Ventus Black in the Rogue Max
Yes.
LS.
Yeah. Oh, when we're testing
After
shafts, we're testing dispersion, but also feel a lot and feel how you kind of load the shaft with them. Throwing Autoflex in, there were some comments earlier on that people wanted to see.
We'll get a few swings in and see if I can catch Tom. What was it, 177 was your ball speed?
177. I think you got me. I feel like when you were swinging there at 115 miles an hour, they were very, very smooth swings.
I was, yeah, there's some left in the tank.
Yeah.
I just gotta, the problem is that you can match it up a lot better than me. So your 177 ball speed is gonna look a lot better than my 177 ball speed.
And I think, you know, Caleb's saying, here comes 177 ball speed. I think we're talking, we might crack 180.
Now there's pressure on me.
I'm trying to put pressure on you
build
here.
expectations like that and people are gonna be let down.
All right, I'm having issues with this screw.
It's like this person pre-ordered Rogue yesterday after several tests. Yeah, and I think one thing we noticed in testing is, you know, you were really impressed with it. It was always consistent too. And I don't know what head this person ordered of the Max D, whatever, but the Max D had a ton of draw bias to it, and the Max was very stable too.
Right. Yeah. The Max is definitely very, very stable. I think, you know, ST, you know, I think is stability for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's speed tuned is what the actual word is, but
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Take a couple practice swings first.
This just feels is. So it's a longer shaft, right?
It's so it's right at like 46 inches.
Oh man.
Okay.
It feels like a pool noodle of how flexible it is, you know. All right.
Okay. Well, let's maybe get used to the shaft after a couple of swings, and I want to see you go after it a little bit.
Well, all right. Yeah, this thing is just so whippy. All right. Oh my word! I almost hit the black mat over there.
Right. So I mean, this is important to bring this up because I mean, if your shaft is not right for someone, and it's not going to be right for everyone, the way you deliver the face angle can be a little more challenging.
Yeah. No, it's going to be. I mean, the ball speed is whatever. I got to make sure I can square it up too. I missed that one too.
Good mess.
Yeah, I just hit it way off the toe there.
Yeah, 141 smash. That might be pretty far out.
I would be interested to see the impact on. Yeah, that's way out there on the toe.
Great miss, actually.
See, I got 118 on that one. I just got to match it up. I hit that one.
Oh, there we go. Come on. Oh, boy. 342.1. All right, I quit. Got that elusive 120.6 club speed.
Yeah, I matched it up there. Is there any chance I get 350?
Yes, I think you got a little bit. Now you got to match everything up, so that one you matched your path and face angle up.
Yeah, look at that. 4.6, 4.6. Yeah, that's. I don't think that's happening again.
All right.
We'll try it though. Oh, a little off the toe again.
Open. 342 again though.
Yeah, now I'm just swinging hard to swing hard.
Well, what I find interesting here, and I'm probably going to jinx it right at this moment, but you have not hit one left with this yet.
It's true.
Like, it's just
maybe
something to do with the way that shaft's loading.
Maybe this is the one I need. I'll just bring out my checkbook quick.
It'd be $1,200 golf club right there.
Jeez. Oh. Yeah, I'm going right. I don't know. That one was a little low on the face, but.
Yep, a little low on the face on that one.
All right, how many more left?
But right, you haven't hit one. You've got one just a little bit left of center.
Yeah, that one drew back a little bit. We got one more left?
Yeah, let's hit one more. Let's go after this one. As if you weren't already, but.
Trying.
You haven't cracked 180 yet on the bull speed.
That's right, I gotta do that.
Now you have.
Come on. Oh!
323.1 carry. Good God.
Jeez. That's decent. Wish I could have this club.
Well, you can for a price.
Well, yeah. We got a comment. What makes Autoflex special? And I would say my ability to do that
Right.
is only with this shaft. Now is it lighter or is it just the properties of the flexing?
It's lighter and also the properties of flexing. You know, generally, you know, it allows that shaft to catch up even though it's light.
Okay.
But right, you're right. No one really knows. It's just $700 golf shaft.
No,
and
that is nuked.
Got some buzz.
Yeah. Because I mean, I would like to see the map again because I swing this club. I just don't think if I'm on a course in some sort of competition, there's just no way I could control this.
Right. So let's take out those wedge shots earlier.
Yeah.
Just so we don't have that up, so we can look at the dispersion a little bit easier. So, you know, you said the ability to do that. Can you notice anything different with the loading profile with that golf shaft? Do you feel like it's harder for you to hit it left? Is it affecting your delivery?
It feels like it's almost like like the club head legs behind a little bit more. I don't know, maybe that's. Does that make sense though? It just seems like it's not quite catching up like the way it would with something a little with a stiffer profile, I guess, or, you know, more. I mean, it just seems like as I'm swinging hard, I can swing as hard as I want basically, and it seems like it won't go left, which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing for you, right? Yeah. Yeah. So here's your dispersion. Yes, there's going to be a couple getting used to it. You'll have to face open with. Then you obviously have these three up here. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, I guess I did take out. Kept 4 up with everyone we were testing, so let's keep up 4 with everyone we're testing here. I'm gonna probably have to go to get the ones that were curving. That one there would probably be the shorter one, and that one there.
I suppose.
Yeah.
That's actually that's a way better dispersion than I was anticipating.
Yeah, and you haven't hit one further left than 15 yards left of center.
And I'm looking at, Dave's got a point in the chat. He's like, how could he say he can't control it? He hasn't missed a fairway. I mean, I had the one that went way over there that I almost missed the screen with, that I hit off the toe when it was like dead 45-degree angle that way.
Right.
But the rest have actually been surprisingly straight. Like it seems like seem like a shaft that I can really swing hard at, and I won't have that left miss.
Okay. I want to go. Let's just go to the other end of the extreme.
Right,
now this
so
is still
now,
stiff, but this is still extra stiff.
So we're going back to the Ventus Black.
Ventus family, but we're going to go Ventus Black 7X.
Okay, and that'll feel a little different.
Yes, yes. But yeah, I mean, dispersion was great. I agree. I mean, you've.
Yeah.
For how far you're hitting it?
346.7. I don't think I'm going to do that with this shaft.
Sounds like the second swing team needs to reach out to Autoflex and start playing their stuff.
Well, that was. Caleb's asking, so the swing weight on the Autoflex setup, and then, I mean, do you have that on top of your head?
I can go check it while you're hitting here. I'll put that head in there, and I'll go check the weight. So at 46 inches with this shaft, when I last looked, we were around about D2. I'll go run and check it though while you're hitting this.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is crazy different. So this is basically the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of like the flexing and the whipping.
Right. Yeah.
So, like last time I was doing this and it was just all over the place.
Okay, so we got Ventus
Waggle.
Black 7X. Done. Okay. Let me put this together while you're hitting that.
And then would swing weight increase with this shaft, assuming, you know, if you were to measure this one?
Well, it's gonna be shorter, so it's gonna exactly.
All right, this is going to be a very different feel, I assume. Yeah, see, that just, it felt like, I mean, it's going to go left.
I think that's your answer right there.
It just felt like there's no way that was happening with the Autoflex.
I'm gonna need that head back to go and do this. So I'll do that after, and I'll let you jump some questions after you hit this.
Okay.
And we'll check the swing weight, because I know that's the big thing with Autoflex is getting the swing rate right.
I'm a little looser now that I was going after it, but
It's left again though.
yeah, see, it's just, I don't feel like I'm changing that much, but it's just, the club is almost ahead, it seems like, versus with the Autoflex, it was lagging behind in a perfect way for my swing.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing here Dave saying should be D0. I think it's D0 to D2 is kind of like the ideal swing weight for that particular shaft.
That could be good.
337, it's good.
See, I almost felt like I had to think about the face angle staying open on that one.
Yep. We got a lot of questions here about swing weight, so I'll check both the Ventus Black swing weight and I'll check the Autoflex swing weight, and I will get back.
I'll hit a couple more here with this. See, that club path was like this.
Yeah. Yes, we did. If you just joined, he did just try the Autoflex. You just missed. So come back. What are we about? An hour and 20 into the.
Well, he can.
Yeah.
I think YouTube gives you the opportunity to scroll back.
Just scroll back. Yeah, scroll back about 10 minutes.
Okay. I was due for one of those.
I mean, still went 256 for
25 feet off the ground. Should I do one more or no?
Let's do one more. I think we know the answer, though. I think it's quite interesting now that we've tried shafts from two basically extremes.
I felt
And
like
yes, the Ventus Black's 45 inches.
interesting. All right. You can take these.
We test all our all-fit shafts at 45. Okay. So
Shirt's coming untucked when I swing.
let's just clean this up here. Swinging so fast, Drew, that your shirt's coming untucked.
Yes. I also need a drink of water.
I will grab you a drink of water while I go and check stuff. Okay, yeah, I'll let you jump into comments here a little bit. We can talk about the numbers and dispersion up on the screen there too. But 1, 2, 3 there with the Autoflex. Best one there with the Ventus Black was this one here. I mean, you can't scoff at that.
That's a. Yeah.
But is it that?
Yeah, right.
And that. Yeah. Yeah, you got 342, 342.1, 346.7.
Yeah, that's far. That's far.
Okay. I will be right back. Give me a couple minutes here.
I'll be right here drinking my water. So Drew asking about the best players long irons. So, oh, retracted the message. Best players long irons. I was going to get into that. But that, yeah, something about that shaft, it's just super, I don't know. I think for me, when I come in, I have that quick transition at the top. I whip the club down. For whatever reason, the head lagged a little bit farther behind the Autoflex. And with these more stiff shaft, it it really catches up quick and almost forces me to turn it over, which I don't need right now. So, Drew asking best players irons for 2022 that you are comfortable hitting in long irons. Okay, so that's what he's getting at with the long irons. I will say this: when we did initial testing of Mizuno, the Mizuno Pro 221, 223, 225. The 223 seems like it's a really good model. It's like that shallow player's cavity type, and it had some almost juice in it for being a player's cavity iron. That's the one I look to right now. Would be that Mizuno Pro 223. I know I've played. My combo set right now is I210 and I500. I know I've hit. I have I500s in the longer irons, but the I210s are also really good in those longer irons as well. So that would be one that I would recommend. Same with the I59s as well. That's more of a blade type. Maybe if you're a more skilled or more consistent ball striker, you might fit into that one a little bit better. But I'd go the Mizuno Pro 223 would be the first one that I would think of there. Robert, as a golf novice, I've always struggled with the snap hook. That is not just me. What causes it? So here, maybe I can look at I can show on the map here some of those. And we can, from there, I'll bring that up here, and then we'll put it on the screen. I'll just show one example here. So what you'll see on the screen here, I've got one of the shots with I believe that's the Stealth, or it's I'm not sure which club that actually is. I think it might be the Stealth, but you'll see the numbers on the screen, and you can see how the club path is at 7.2. And then the face angle is at 2. So 7.2 means I'm coming in to out. So I'm swinging this way. My club's going 7.2 degrees this way. But my face is only open 2 degrees that way. So that creates minus 5.2 on the face to path. And that creates all that curve to the left. So basically, my club path is more open, drastically more open than my face angle is. And that creates that side spin that dives out of the sky to the left.
Explaining your swing?
Yeah, well, someone's asking, Robert asked, as a golf novice, I struggle with the snap hook. Glad it's not just me. What causes it? So I brought up some of the numbers to explain that, and basically how my club path is far more open or into out than the face angle. So
yeah, club path and face angle relationship is huge, and that's going to generate a lot of curve, or if those two numbers are too far apart. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so answers on swing weight. When you were hitting the Autoflex, D1.0 was the swing weight. When you were hitting the Ventus Black, D2. It was like D1.9 essentially was the swing weight on that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the differences there. I know they say D0 or D1 is pretty good with the Autoflex there too. So maybe just a touch longer or touch shorter to make up for that, but pretty good overall. But yeah, I mean, you've hit it pretty far, pretty well there.
And I think there's something too, just that, I don't know, maybe for a snap hooker, maybe the stiffer the shaft, it's worse for me almost, because as a snap hook, you also already have a low launch, and that helps you launch it even lower.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had the money for an Autoflex shaft, I might be considering it, but
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes, I mean, I'm seeing this comment actually here by Caleb. Would it be cool to see have Thomas test a 50-gram ladies flex shaft versus Autoflex? Now, would you want the also that to be 46 inches? So that would be the challenge with a ladies golf shaft at 46 inches. Mm-hmm. It's going to be literally like a noodle. I feel like I almost might snap it, honestly.
Especially with your quick transition. I mean, you're up here and you kind of have similar to me where you're, kind of just chasing that thing down to the ball. Yeah. Jeff has a shaft question here that looks like he wants to get answered. So my last shaft question, promise, is frequency matching or turning shafts on iron still a thing? Is it important for consistency?
It's a thing. So we're probably talking about puring, right? Using the puring system. I know, Tiger Woods, he used it in his, but I think the industry's come so far, and we've actually asked this exact question. We've actually met with Puget Kerr at the PGA show a couple years ago and asked the exact same question. They don't believe it's necessary. Okay. I mean, especially in their more aftermarket golf shafts, it's not necessary to pure. I don't think it's necessary to pure at all. I don't pure. I could pay, I don't know what it is, it's maybe $25 a club or whatever it is to do it, but I've never pured my golf clubs, and I'm a perfectionist when it comes to a lot of this stuff, so I don't think it's necessary as much in this industry these days. There'll be other people at the other end of the spectrum would say, yes, it's absolutely important. I think Club Champion pures, which is like a nice little add-on bonus that they've got, but yeah, we don't do that.
Mike asking, I'm intrigued what's in the vault behind you. So the vault, which I don't know if I can,
Yep.
Can I get it? Right there, the
Yep.
vault. I got it. So the vault is like where we store a ton of our used clubs, and so there's probably in that, how many thousand clubs are just in that section of the store?
Yes. It's overflow.
Several thousand clubs used. Some are in really good condition. Some are 20 years old. Some are 1 year old. Some are this year even.
Yeah.
And we store a bunch of clubs back there, and that's in addition to all of our floor selection, which is thousands as well. So we have a vault in each of our stores. Our 6th store coming soon. We'll also have a very large vault, and that's what we call it, the vault. So I hope that answers your question, Mike.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of golf clubs in there, that's for sure. And it really just helps if we don't have enough room on the floor to put all these golf clubs.
Right.
So it's our extra storage spot.
Ooh, what was Drew's club path with the Autoflex? I think the longer shaft helped them neutralize and not come so far from inside. There might be something to that. I know that first good one I hit, it was just about them matching up. Like the face angle and the club path matched up.
Your club path when you were hitting Autoflex was 5.0 when you were hitting the Ventus Blue.
So it's not
earlier.
Really 4.5, 2. I mean, it's, if anything, it's
5.0
more into out. It's just
actually Ventus Blue 5.7, and you had a tendency to get a little bit more into out. Ventus Black was 6.
So I was getting more into out as I went.
You were getting more and more into out as you went.
But the face angle was the most open with the Autoflex.
Yes.
That's how I was able to hit a few straighter.
Yeah. Well, your path and face angle were matching up.
Yeah.
I'm curious now. I know we don't have the screen up anymore, but I'm curious to see what your hit location was like with the Autoflex. A little longer shaft, you're hitting it just a little more on the top. That was helping you, for sure. But also gear effect, you think that would dive the ball further left. So there's at least something about that golf shaft for sure.
Mike, I thought maybe you just kept the Autoflex there in the vault. Well, maybe someday there'll be a club in the vault with an Autoflex shaft.
I'm sure there will be. Yep.
I don't know if we'll put it back there. Maybe we'll keep that one up in the floor.
Yep.
I have an Autoflex shaft, and it's still a little too whippy for me. Should I try to cut it down an inch to make it stiffer, or just buy the 505? He's got a 405 right now.
I think you're gonna mess the swing weight up if you go 45 inches. If you cut it down with the Autoflex shaft. I know the swing weight tolerances, and you can actually find it on their website that shows the Autoflex swing weight. It would change. For sure, it would change. We're talking, probably 6 points, essentially. So the swing weight might be a little bit different.
I think we're kind of starting to wrap up a little bit here. So I guess in the next few minutes, if you have any pressing questions you want to get answered, there's probably some we didn't get to, which we apologize for. But if you want to get those in now, feel free to do so. We'll have a couple minutes here to answer some questions. 2022 golf clubs. Maybe it's a fitting question you have as well, or any question about second swing that we can answer. Please send that in, and we'll try to get that answered for you here.
Good question here. What was dynamic lie with Autoflex? You're at 55.3 on the dynamic lie. What we were seeing there.
Oh, that's the average. Okay.
That was your average.
How does that? Yeah. Is that? I mean, how is that compared to? I guess what would be a standard or a normal dynamic lie?
Well, let's take a look here and see what your other ones were at. I got to add in.
Oh, I suppose you got to. Oh, no, wait, that wasn't it.
No, I just got to add in dynamic lie.
On the left there.
Perfect. And it's going to change based on the length of the club. So it's going to be flatter with the driver, and it's going to be more upright with your irons and your wedges.
So it's right in the middle there.
54.9, 54.1 when you're hitting the Ventus blue and the highest, you're 56.6 with the Ventus Black, which is kind of funny. So you hit the blue earlier and you hit the black later. So that has something to probably do with that path.
That
and
trend I had of getting more into out as I hit more tee shots,
Yeah. But yeah, so dynamic lie. 7 irons are usually around about 63 degrees of loft on them. So if you have that dynamic lie with that, it's gonna be right spot on.
Peter asked you, do you have a chance to hit the LTDx LS? I did hit that driver earlier today. I was, I think, the second or third driver I hit. You'll be able to watch that earlier if you just joined.
It was the third one, yep.
So I went in order, went ST-Z 220, then I think it was the Stealth Plus. Then the LTDx LS, then the Rogue ST Max LS, and then we put the Autoflex in that one, and then also the Ventus Black 7X. So,
question here: any plans to test the new Ventus TR? I can't wait. When we get it, we will definitely test that. It'd be interesting to test that versus like the older version of the Ventus there too.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, we appreciate everyone for jumping on. Once again, always send us what you want to see in these videos. We'd love to try and, obviously, this is for you guys. This is so you guys can be educated on the different comparisons and clubs and shafts and everything like that. So let us know if there's what you want to see. Maybe send us a comment in the comment section. We'd really appreciate it because let's face it, we can only think of so many topics, and it's been a fun last couple of years for us to generate a lot of videos.
There's still some stuff rolling out as well from manufacturers, so there's still a few more weeks of that, I think, and then once we have everything in, we'll do some, I like to call them ultimate tests.
Yep.
We'll bring them on. Maybe it's irons, maybe it's fairway woods, maybe it's wedges. Maybe we can try to work out some putting as well. We'll see if we're able to do that. I know the putting bay is going to be very busy on the next few months, so it might be tough, but we'll try to make that work as well. But yeah, as Thomas said, throw any ideas for content that you guys are curious about, any comparisons that you want to see, any theories you want us to test into the comments, and we will make sure we do that. So what do you got? Maybe a couple more minutes for questions here? Maybe 2 more questions. We'll go
two more questions.
2 more questions.
All right. Well, let's start with Stephen D here. Do you find large gaps appearing between set gap wedges and specialty wedges in the hollow irons, i.e. P790 gap wedge 50 to 54D versus T200 gap wedge to say a 52 specialty wedge? I mean, maybe a little bit more ball speed, maybe a little bit less spin, but I think they do a great job at really, dialing in that part of the bag. I still think the most important thing is keeping consistent gapping with regards to loft there. So maybe you have to tweak it half a degrees. If anything, it's going to be depending on the player's skill level as well, and how much spin that they generate on the iron. But once you get to 8-9 pitching wedge in those clubs, they're not as, I don't know, jacked up as you would say, or they don't have as much like speed foam or ball speed attached to them.
Let's go Mike here about the SLDR iron. They still good irons by today's standards, or should he upgrade? That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean,
that's probably what, 8-ish, 9-ish years old probably in there.
I think you'll notice. It depends what you're after, Mike. If you're after distance, if you're after spin or after less spin or more spin, you've definitely got some options there to go either way. It really depends. I would ask him when his last fitting was, because 8 years ago, we're talking angle might not be right. The golf shaft might not be right. I would at least go through the process of just getting fit and assess to see whether there's a difference there at all.
We've definitely seen the stability and the consistency and forgiveness of irons in that category improve since then. So I think there's performance to be gained. It's just a matter of you and where your budget's at, and if you're willing to kind of spend the money to upgrade there. And it might not even be something brand new this year. It could be something from the last couple of years that might be a little cheaper than something brand new. But there's definitely options out there. I think it's, at very least, I think we'd suggest it's worth trying something or going through the fitting process to make sure the current irons you have are still a fit for your swing. But otherwise, I think we can maybe wrap up there.
Yeah, those are like good last couple of questions there to finish up with.
And if you have any more, you can drop them in the comments below, and we'll get to those as well. But otherwise, we want to thank everybody for joining another Thursday Live. Great performance by all these drivers in my testing today. We also had some testing with the SM9 wedges from Thomas at the very beginning. If you didn't see that, those are very consistent, great feel. Those are going to be great in 2022 as well. Thank you everybody for joining. Once again, 10 a.m. on Thursdays is when we go live on YouTube. Make sure you're there next week. And tell us what you want to see next week as well. Maybe we'll throw that into the mix for our agenda. But Thomas, thanks for joining. Thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next week.